This is the Mind of Mansion. I'm the Podfather, and with me today is one Chuck Bass, his first appearance on the program. Charlie, Chuck Bass. Let's get into it.
Feels good. Happy to be here. I dusted off my finest, my Tom Brady Tampa Bay Super Bowl winning shirt in honor of you guys having a good time down there at the draft party in Tampa. And I brought some equally good takes with me today.
He was hammered, right? So he had a couple drinks. You give Tom 2 beers, and he's just obliterated.
Yeah, there's nothing like seeing the GOAT carried out by his trainer or whoever it was after one avocado tequila drink, throwing the Lombardis off of the back of boats and just having a damn good time. I was happy for him.
He's very hard to hate, right?
Yeah.
I think most players with his level of success would be easier to hate, and certainly you can find reasons. Certainly there's reasons, but to come from the 6th round, to be unathletic, and to just to make it all happen, and to be such a prolific winner in such a competitive league, and to have such respect from so many big dudes that could kill us, it goes a long way, man. It goes.
Yeah, it definitely does, which is funny because for most of his career, he was about the most a sports hated athlete in the NFL because of all the winning. And then finally, he goes through his, we should have seen the divorce coming because he was going through his divorce dad phase when he moved down to Tampa because he just let his hair down, having a good time, letting it rip in interviews, did a roast. I mean, he brought out the big guns, and now he's just making up for all that lost time.
He's doing great. He's doing great. His face is looking a little over chiseled.
Mm-hmm.
Right? His face is looking a little over chiseled. Did you saw the picture of the bloated Tom Cruise face? Did you see that?
Yeah. It's not a great look.
We haven't seen the bloated Brady face yet. Right now, it's very chiseled. It's too chiseled. His chin is not a human chin. I think we all know that at this point. He was born with a great chin. Okay.
Yeah,
so that's the cool thing you can do is you can have great genetics. And then if you choose, you can double down on those genetics later in life and just blow it all out, like Kim Kardashian. Like she was born with a great ass, and she decided to enhance what's great. So if you enhance something with a great foundation and make it even better, then you become some kind of like superhero cartoon character. Amazing.
Well, we don't have conversations about who's the 20th best of all time. We want the number 1. Who's the GOAT? Kim Kardashian, the GOAT, potentially the GOAT ass. We wouldn't be talking about her if she was just had a 9 out of 10 walking around there. I want to know first team all pro all time. That's what I'm into.
Yeah, if you have a flat ass, you can't get from there to here. You have to start
you gotta
with
have
the
a great
genetics.
personality.
They say that about bodybuilding. It's like, yes, okay, all the elite bodybuilders, they're not doing it with just eating chicken breasts and cod. There's a little bit more that goes into it, but you need to start with the foundation of the genetics, and then you add all of the enhancements on top of it, and then you can get to the top of the mountain. But you have to have the genetics first. I can't go and become a bodybuilder. You can give me whatever you want, right? Any supplements you want, not going to happen, right? So, like Ronnie Coleman, right? Yeah. Ronnie Coleman had the foundation, and then you sprinkle in a little extra, and then boom, superhero. Sure. Tom Brady's chin was already good, but it went to a place where it was like, all right, dude, listen.
Yeah.
I mean, your face is so long and so good. It's just such a chiseled, well-constructed face. It's too much to be
for Tom.
I can't believe. I don't believe it's real 100%, and it's fine. I think it's fine.
For Tom Brady to have body dysmorphia, if he has that, then what the hell am I going to do? I've already bought every product that Joe Rogan advertises, guys. It's not working for me. That's why I just shitpost on Twitter all day and hop on shows like this.
So I think what that is, by the way, is it's called a chin implant. And what they do is, they graft bone to the bottom of your chin, And then, well, it's a win-win. So that it has sort of twin benefits. And
are you thinking about getting one? Sounds like you know a lot about this.
No, but I've gone very deep with Brady.
I got you. Okay,
I've gone very
a good
deep
reporter.
I've gone very deep with Brady, and the chin extensions is basically they graft bone on the underside of your chin, and so the cool thing about that particular procedure is it stretches your face, it removes some of the wrinkles, but then it also gives you a more masculine chin without incisions, right?
Sure.
Without doing any cutting. You're just basically adding and stretching. And so if there was a procedure that you could do that was like, yes, it does stretch the face, and it certainly it was weird. Like for about a 5-year period, it was all upside with that procedure, I think. It just looked great.
Damn.
Right? It was great. But I think now, for whatever reason,
COVID.
It's like there's something
COVID killed the chin
happens
plants.
at some age. I don't know what the age is, 45, 50, whatever the age is, where it starts to look uncanny. And so you start to go into the uncanny valley where it's like, all right, man, you had the perfect face, but something in the last couple of years, either you doubled down on that and then you took it too far. Because how did it? What if it's working, right? Then you could see why people might want to try and double down, and then all of a sudden, So riding that edge of like, hey, I've done an enhancement that is great, but I'm loving all the benefits. I'm gobbling it up, but I take it one step further. Suddenly, I'm in the uncanny valley, and people look at me like, dude. What the fuck is wrong with your face? It's such a fine line, man.
Life is all about knowing when to stop. And these guys at the top, they don't. He played until he was 45. He never knows when to stop anything. So I'm sure that factors into it somehow. Maybe he was reading the comment section because 28-3 comeback. He's standing on the podium holding the Super Bowl, and all everyone's saying is, I don't know about that chin. I think that chin could use some work. So maybe that got to him.
It's have you seen the original chin? You can Google it. You should Google the in fact, we'll show it on the screen. But you could Tom Brady. I think if you go, what do you think? Tom Brady before and after? That's probably
I would have to
right?
think. Yeah, because I mean, an athlete of his stature will have been researched so much. I mean, just thinking about how much you know about it, I'm sure the work has been put in, male and female, or other has probably laid the foundation for us.
The good people on Reddit, they're very helpful. These are some fun people on Reddit. They really help a lot. Right? So again, he had the dimple chin already. That was the left Brady. Brady on the left was that was already a very strong manly chin. Right?
This is pre-Nugenics and then post-Nugenics, right?
Look how much longer his face is. After he got to double down on that chin. I mean, what courage it took.
If you can, the second image on Tom Brady original chin Google search is 2014 versus 2023, and even the 2023 shot is different than the one you just saw. It's pretty dramatic, and it's not becoming of a man of his character and quality and his trophy chest. I'm disappointed. I love him. I love him like no other.
Dude, I'm Googling around a lot. Listen, he's doing great. Okay,
he's the best.
The guy played out to age 45 in the most competitive, vicious sport that we have on the planet. Right? It's competitive. Certainly, you might say, "Oh, there's some other super competitive leagues. Like there's more soccer players than there are NFL football players in the world." Training. Okay, fine. But is it as vicious? Do you have those kinds of collisions? Hell no. Hell no. So when you combine competitiveness and just the violence and to be the slowest guy on the field for 20 years and to be he's the greatest football player of all time, isn't he?
He still had that chin at the end of his game. So I'm not sure what happened in his post career that had him praying for something more. Maybe he needs to get a better entourage. Maybe he needs some more hype men like you and me. We would lead him down the right path. There's no doubt about it.
Listen, I'm not going to criticize anything he's done. If the guy's now a little uncanny, I think it's okay. Seems like he's doing fine. And I think the lesson is that we need to find out one of our great traits. I mean, I don't have that many, but find a trait that is already working and double down on that. That's what he did. He found where his strengths were and he doubled down on his strengths. Pretty good. Pretty good idea.
That's what I'm doing.
So you are doubling down at Player Profiler. You have 2 shows.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a show that you're doing with Pete Nova called Risers and Fallers. And you're also doing a show called That Fantasy Show. Why don't you talk about the shows you're doing?
Shows have been a blast. Risers and Fallers hit the ground running. I really appreciate all the support. That show's doing very well. Pete and I are putting a lot of work in. He's got a great vision, and I'm trying to show up and execute. So, we just go over Dynasty Risers and Fallers every week, Best Ball Risers and Fallers. Fast Draft has been a lot of fun to kind of chart the movements in and out because you're seeing a lot of instant reaction, especially as we're still in that post-draft come down to where not a lot of people have settled yet. The best shape of your life reports haven't come out of camp, so nobody knows how to move a lot of these guys with a lot of consistency that you see in the postseason. So that's been a lot of fun. We've also been doing another fantasy show. That's my baby. That's my pet project where I just have people on and talk about some of the weirdest, most thought-provoking fantasy football conversations that we try to have. A little out of the ordinary, but we get the live chat involved, we get the listeners involved, and they keep us on our toes. And my chin has been roasted in there several times, and I'm a better man for it. So I might take some of the conversation we've had today, and maybe I'll make some moves to make myself more presentable for the audience who has been supporting me over this last 18 months.
And we are going to talk some football today. Okay? I want people to know that. It's very important they know that. And this is, with these live streams, we like to do a little pre-show. Like to get started with something fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And Brady's chin has got to be up there in terms of fun topics, right? And your shows.
Oh, yeah.
You're really killing it, man. You're killing it on Twitter, too. Aren't you having a huge year on Twitter?
Twitter has been quite kind to me. I want to thank Elon for all the love that he's been bestowing upon my bank account. We've been rocking.
Welcome to the Mind of Mansion program. One of the best follows on Twitter at Chuck F. Bass. He is the host of That Fantasy Show and the co-host of Risers and Fallers, an up-and-comer here at Player Profiler, and one of our most requested guests of all time. Here with me today, it is Chuck Bass. Talk to me.
This is where I come to play. My employer currently thinks that I'm running some TPS reports, and I'm sitting in here doing what I love, podcasting with the Podfather right now. We're going over some of my favorite players, but also a lot of my least favorite players in the 2025 rookie class and beyond. I'm ready to throw some cold water on some of these fools.
That's what you're going to do. I think I'm going to come up, hey, what about this guy? Hey, I like this guy, but this guy looks good. And then you're going to be, no, maybe, probably not. No, probably not. No. But we need to find, one of my goals for this show is that we need to find a consensus between, at least a 2-man consensus between you and I, maybe 3, you, me, and the chat. Consensus on who is this year's Bucky Irving in this rookie class. We need a day 3 pick who could break out all over the place and win leagues and win people lots of money on Origins, the all-rookie tournament on Fast Draft, fastdraft.app. Use code PODFATHER, and that gets you a $50 deposit match. Are you code Chuck, by the way? You have code Chuck?
I am code Chuck. And I mean, if that doesn't roll off the tongue, I don't know what will. Code Chuck, and I'm sure in the hospital that means something different, but Fast Draft, it means free money for you guys.
That's right. So use code Chuck. He's the guest. So use code Chuck. Don't use Podfather. Use code Chuck. Fastdraft.app. Get it. And we're going to be opening up some more states soon. So tune in. Follow Fast Draft on all the social media channels, and you'll get announcements when we're live in some additional states and countries. So that's all really good news. But the Origins All Rookie Drafts, drafting rookies for this year, for 2025, it's imperative that you find the next Bucky Irving. And you were in some drafts yesterday, so we'll look at some of the drafts that you did. I love some of the teams you drafted yesterday. And there's one in particular we're going to check out. But if you had to pick right now, okay, got to be a day 3 guy. Your first choice for who is going to be this year's Bucky Irving.
Oh, well, you know what? Guys, ignore this behind me, all right? I know it says War Eagle behind me. I want you to know that I'm going to take my bias out of this one. I'm going to take the Les Snead bias out of this one. I'm going with Jarquez Hunter, running back, 4th round, 117th overall pick. Rams traded up to get him. You're going to want to trade up to get him too if he doesn't fall to you in your rookie drafts. That's my next Bucky Irving, baby. He's got all the markers.
So Jarquez Hunter is interesting in that, okay, he fell to the day 3. Rams picked him even though they didn't really need a running back. They just that you could think, oh, this is an upgrade on Ronnie Rivers. But they did draft him in the 4th round. So 15th pick in the 4th round, that's not nothing. That's not 7th round draft capital.
Yeah.
That's not Isaiah Pacheco. That's a lot closer to where Bucky Irving was drafted last year. And Jarquez Hunter was a real problem for defenders. Alex Dunlap and the guys at Roster Watch love to talk about how in the SEC, so many of these coaches led the press conference with, we need to stop Jarquez Hunter. And so runs a 4.4 flat, close, with 4.44. And a 105.0, 81st percentile speed score, with a really good yards per carry in the SEC. And then when you look at his overall stat line, I mean, 1,200 yards, close to 10 touchdowns, went over 20 catches in his final year. This is it could easily be a player who's better than Blake Corum, and also could be better than Kyren Williams, or Kyren Williams simply gets hurt. Right.
Sure.
So there's 2 things that need to happen. He needs to outplay Corum and supplant him at some point. He's probably more Tyrone Tracy. So I think what would need to happen is he benefits from a Kyren Williams injury, and Kyren Williams is going to get hurt this year. I mean, I can just tell you right now. They have overworked him, a player who had foot injuries, ankle injuries, lower body injuries at 200 pounds, who was used as a satellite back in college, and they're playing him as a primary back in the NFL and asking him to take immense punishment. That's not going to work out well. Okay, he ran pure last year in the health department. It's not going to happen this year. So let's say he goes down early. Let's say Kyren Williams goes down early. Then it's just a question of how soon can Jarquez Hunter supplant Blake Corum. I think for a 4th round pick, if he goes the Tyrone Tracy route, we're talking week 5 maybe. So you could see it's very possible with just a single injury. It has to be a season ender for Kyren Williams. But if there is a season-ending injury, we're talking. It could be a broken foot, right? It could be a torn ACL.
He's had foot problems in the past, so that's not uncommon for him,
right? And then, but there's also these particular foot injuries, which Darren McFadden had chronic foot injuries. Running backs often have these chronic foot injuries. Like that require eventually like a Liz Frank procedure. So if I told you, Kyren Williams is having Liz Frank, would you be surprised?
I wouldn't be, because everybody drafted Blake Corum last year already expecting that to be the happen. And then they gave him 316 rushes right into the wall of defenses. And look, I like that he runs like he's trying to get the entire defense addicted to painkillers. I appreciate that as somebody who's just a bowling ball of a running back, but he's not built to last. He tested very poorly athletically. He only had 2 rushes of over 20 yards last year. Austin Eckler and Antonio Gibson doubled that. I mean, you're looking at almost 60 players who had more in the explosive run department. His runs of 10 yards or more aren't terrific either. So, I mean, I think they bring Hunter in because they looked at Corum and they said they didn't like what they saw. They wanted somebody that can actually have some pop, some juice. You know, they've got the dynamos on the outside that can work deep down the field on the intermediate areas. They need somebody who can do more than get them 4 yards per carry behind a pretty good offensive line.
So I think that's the comparison, is like the difference between what Tyrone Tracy was delivering in terms of explosiveness and Devin Singletary. That differential is really similar to what Hunter brings vis-a-vis Blake Corum. But because Blake Corum is the incumbent, he was drafted earlier as well, and again knows the playbook. Was a team captain in college. Like, these are guys that are going to take several weeks to supplant.
Yeah,
we have to remember that even if he's outplaying Blake Corum in practice, it's not going to be an instantaneous move up the depth chart. I think we're talking about the month of October. It's very feasible for a guy like Jarquez Hunter to be the starter at some point in October with the Rams. But because he's currently number 3 in the depth chart, he doesn't get considered. I think in every format, we're talking about the FFPC best ball format, underdog best ball format, but also especially the fast draft Origins all rookie game. That is the guy you're looking for in round 4, 5, 6, even depending on the league you're drafting in. Where can you get Jarquez Hunter? Like that is contingent upside. It's going to be a great offense. The defense last year, I was just talking to Evan Ringler. Evan Ringler is going to be our guest on the Mind of Mansion next week. And we were talking about the Rams offense yesterday. Yeah. And the defense was smoke and mirrors last year. They had, especially in these island games, they played well against the Dolphins. They had some good performances, but when you zoom out and you look at their linebacking core, look at the draft capital, and then look at and go deep into the numbers, the defense was not actually good. And so I think we're going to see another year where the defense potentially even takes a step back, and they have to ratchet up the offense even more than they did last year. That's very much in the range of outcomes for the Rams. So if that happens, and they become like a high-scoring offense out of necessity, and Hunter is the starting running back for just, let's say, 10 weeks of the season, that is a huge boon if someone, if you drafted him in an all-rookie game at value.
Sure. And, you got to look about, the next Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving didn't take over this running back room until pretty much week 12 as you approach the fantasy football playoffs. Rashad White was still leading the team in carries all the way up until their week 10 matchup. And then he just kind of wrestled it away because he was able to do things for the offense and for that run game that the other running backs weren't able to do. Rashad White, he's basically a wide receiver. Sean Tucker's a wonder. He's a north-south guy who struggles with tempo. Hunter is going to be able to bring that I can run right through these open lanes and then also take the ball 80 yards down the field, which McVay used to love. He just hasn't had a guy that could do it since, Todd Gurley's knees went kaput.
So this is amazing. Jarquez Hunter, with all that contingent upside, is going after Ayomanor, a 4th-round receiver, okay, after Brashard Smith, the end of the draft running back.
This is insane.
After Terrence Ferguson. So there's at least 3 or 4 players here on this list that are not in his his world of upside. It's just a completely different world of upside. What Ayomanor can give you, best case scenario, can't touch what Hunter can give you. Can't even touch what Giddens can give you.
Mm-hmm.
right? Because Giddens is there too. I think Giddens is in the conversation as well to be this year's Bucky Irving. He is one injury away. He is one injury away from being. I think that that's the situation where DJ Giddens could seize the number 2 back job in camp. I don't think Hunter can do that, but I think Giddens absolutely can.
Mm-hmm. Well, if they're going to ride,
and he's going behind all these guys, and Tahj Brooks is going even behind him.
Mm.
So this is where a contest like Origins is so exploitable, in that Pat Bryant, because he went 3rd round, is getting drafted before Giddens and before Tahj Brooks. To me, it doesn't make any sense. Best case scenario for what is best case scenario for Pat Bryant? Somebody explain this to me. What could it if you 500 yards?
I would say whatever Tim Patrick was before his injury, maybe something like that.
It's not they're not even in the same universe.
Yeah.
Giddens and Hunter. I think Giddens a little more productive in college. I think he's slightly better than Jarquez Hunter, even though the league didn't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The league loves Jarquez Hunter.
Sure.
So
I'm interested about that Colts
4th round pick versus 5th round pick.
Well, the Colts interest me because they lost 2/3 of their line to the Minnesota Vikings, and so they're going to be running out some version of the same thing from last year. Only I don't feel very good about it. I mean, if you're going to keep Tyler Warren in line blocking, then sure, maybe that picks up some of the slack. But their plan is basically to just throw bodies at the front 7 of any defense that they play. And Jonathan Taylor, he still missed 3.5 games last season, and he's never been the picture of health as it is.
And by the way, I'm showing on the screen for anyone on stream the DJ Giddens college stats. And below that, you'll notice Underworld Weekly. That's our newsletter. Subscribe to our newsletter. It's got over 14,000 subscribers. And every week we send you all the updates. So when Chuck comes out with a new show with Pete Nova, we announce it in the newsletter. And you get to see it. Oh, okay, so I got to look out for that. So, and there's just, everything that we're coming out with, everything that's new, anything that's interesting, the tweet of the week, social media posts, the articles getting the most traction. We make sure we post all those in the Underworld Weekly newsletter, and we don't over email. Like, you're going to get one email, at most 2 a week. That's it. And it's all the things you need condensed into one message. It's not, 7 different emails, 1 a day. I'm very sensitive to the email cadence, and I refuse to allow us to over email, and that's why we have such a strong subscriber base to our newsletter. What about Jaydon Blue? Because Jaydon Blue is getting buzz, because there's already been a couple running backs, we'll talk about another one in a minute, where the news services are already picking up on the coach speak.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because, or speculation, and wherever that speculation's coming from these beat reporters, we don't know exactly. But the Athletic's Saad Youssef believes that by the end of the year, Jaydon Blue will be the number 1 running back in Dallas, that he can be a primary back. And that might be news to people at 196 pounds, but that's also the size of Bucky Irving.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
This one is funny to me because, we just talked about Bucky Irving, who tested kind of poorly, Kyron Williams, who tested kind of poorly, Tyrone Tracy, same thing. Jaydon Blue tested somewhat better than all these guys, and I like him just so significantly less. It's not even funny. If this was anywhere but Dallas, I'm not even sure we'd be having this conversation. But between who they have in the running back room, between them being the Cowboys and that beautiful offensive line and the high-scoring offense, there's a lot to like here for somebody to take the mantle. I'm just struggling with a scat back who has just absolutely no ability to shed a tackle to save his life.
5.4 yards per carry. Not great, right? 8.8 yards per reception, 42 catches, but only 368 yards on those catches. So he wasn't delivering the type of explosive plays that he could have given the offensive line and just the overall potency of the offense in Texas.
Yep.
But he's interesting.
It's not great.
Yeah. But he's very, you have to admit, he's very, anytime a guy's going to go out and catch 40 passes and there is talk that he could handle a primary back workload, and he's on Dallas, and the other running back there is Javonte Williams, you have to pay attention. Are you not drafting him? Do you have any Jaydon Blue on Fast Draft? Or are you out on him because you just don't think that he's elusive enough?
I mean, that round is tricky for me just because you start to look at like he is going around the Hunters and he's going around maybe where those quarterbacks are going, like a Milroe or even if you're feeling like a Kyle Williams kind of guy. I just, he caught 42 passes last year, but he didn't even lead Texas running backs in pass catches. Trey Wisner did. So he kind of just didn't excel at anything. And if you're looking at like what he's going to be good at, it's going to be about getting to the outside and taking it all the way. I just don't know how often he's going to be able to do that when one little Q-tip thrown at his body weight and he goes down. He just doesn't have the contact balance to stay up. So the best thing I think we have for him right now is that he's not Javonte Williams and he's not Miles Sanders, who played behind two of the 5 best run blocking lines in 2024 and were severely outplayed by what I will call equal or inferior competition. So the path is there. He's got a lot going for him team-wise. He just needs to not be those other 2 players.
Well, if something happens to Miles Sanders, if he suffers an injury and he's had a litany of ankle injuries and other lower body injuries, Phil Maffa is a big bruising back, over 1,100 rushing yards. The season prior to that, on only 179 carries, he had 13 touchdowns. He's also been able to catch passes at Clemson. They drafted 2 running backs, and you could easily see Phil Maffa getting more carries than Jaydon Blue. So I'm just not sure about this. The Jaydon Blue hype is certainly being fueled by this beat report, and I get it, man. I get it. It's just I need another year. Like I get what happened last year. James Cook stayed healthy in a primary back role. Kyron Williams stayed healthy in a primary back role. We're talking about 200-pound running backs. And then these sub-200-pound running backs like Bucky Irving decided that they were going to be, every down workhorses at 190 pounds. And I'm like, and Achane, and like, it's just down the list. And I'm like, whoa, the NFL is changing. The coaches are trusting small backs to not get hurt. And one of the reasons is, and this was a fantastic observation by Jim Coventry from RotoWire, is that the linebackers are smaller now. And so because linebackers are smaller, these smaller running backs are holding up better. And so that was the best explanation for this phenomenon that I have heard yet.
I like that. That would explain why Bucky Irving at his size had the 7th most attempts from inside the 5-yard line last year. And you know what? Credit to the Buccaneers offense, 3rd most red zone attempts. They kept that baby afloat all year. And they have that big bully offensive line, which they didn't used to have. Even under the Brady days, their run blocking was never very good, So if you're looking for how can we reverse engineer Bucky Irving's production, maybe if he doesn't have the same skill set, you have a very good offensive line and you have an offense that's explosive that can get in the red zone frequently. And then maybe you have 2 other guys in the backfield that are not very good at, doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We might have a stew going here, even if I don't love him as a prospect.
There's someone else. I mean, there's several other options.
There's another.
We haven't talked about Devin Neal yet. Devin Neal, I think, has a straight shot. However, we need to talk about JCM. JCM's getting hyped. JCM is getting the attention of the beat reporters. And then the beat reporters are being picked up by the fantasy news services. right? So another athletic writer, Ben Standing, said that he's intrigued even further after seeing Jacory Croskey-Merritt's size and ability at Commanders rookie minicamp. I don't know what he saw, but he saw something. He saw something, or someone told him something. Coach said something. Coach said, hey, look at this guy. Watch this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's explosive. JCM has a 95th percentile burst score. That's pretty cool. 7th round pick. Who's ahead of him in the depth chart? It's a running back that no one likes. Is there anybody out there, and put it in the chat, do you like Brian Robinson? Are you a Brian Robinson fan? Do these people exist? I'd be interested in hearing it if they do.
More of a Netflix story than a fantasy performer going forward, I think. Brian Robinson.
Why the Netflix story?
Went to a high-profile program, was highly recruited, had a tragic event happen to him his rookie year, and came back onto the field. He got that iconic shot, no pun intended, of him coming out of the tunnel. Has a couple moonlights as an RB1 in fantasy for a couple seasons, and Jaden Daniels comes in and steals everybody's production. But you know what? That's the cycle of being a football player, especially a running back who's more of a plotter than anything else.
So I've got a friend who grew up in Germany, and he's starting to get ramped up on the NFL and American sports, and he said, he's like, the professional athletes, even the ones that are in these violent sports, rugby players, we don't hear about the types of incidents in Europe that these NFL players are experiencing. It's really truly an NFL phenomenon. He's like, I've never seen anything like it, and I can't believe it. Every time I am talking to someone, they mention that, this team drafted this receiver, but he killed a guy drag racing. Or they found this player's girlfriend in the trunk of his car.
Oh, jeez.
Right? Or
getting grim with it.
This edge rusher threw his girlfriend on a bed of guns.
Yeah,
right.
Or visited 16 different masseuses in the Baltimore area and somehow assaulted all of them.
Right. Or as it turns out, during the NFL season, this guy was serial killing. And on and on and on and on down the list. And it's unbelievable. And just like every year, someone's getting shot. It was Brian Robinson. And then last year, it was Ricky Pearsall. And it's like, what is going on? Ricky Pearsall, as far as I can tell, was just trying to walk from point A to point B. But somehow NFL players are magnets for these types of incidents. It's fascinating, and it's hard to figure out. I think
we have to blame the NCAA here. I think it's all their fault. I think they haven't put in the right procedures, the right protocols. Maybe we blame the agents too, because they don't have that in Europe. They don't have the NCAA. They don't have agents. I think everybody's grandmother just handles their contracts and raises them well. We're losing the nuclear family here in America. That could be a part of it too. Maybe I'll save this for my political podcast, but it could be all these factors.
Well, there was a soccer player in the Premier League for Liverpool. His family was kidnapped in Colombia because they wanted to extort him for money, because they knew he's he's a professional soccer player, one of the best soccer players in the world, and it's like, this guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's okay. So we're gonna go. So that we don't have. That, to my knowledge, we haven't had yet an NFL player's family get kidnapped for the ransom.
No, we have guys who look at the away schedule and then break into the quarterbacks' houses and steal all their jewelry while they're gone. That's about, at least in season, that's as nuts as it gets, I think.
Do you remember the incident that happened with Le'Veon Bell the year he took off?
Oh, yeah.
Where these two women were just hanging around, and they convinced him that they wanted to go jet skiing with him for fun, and then they jet skied all afternoon, and then they said, "Hey, you know, that was so much fun, man. You're such a great jet skier. We really had a good time with you jet skiing. Let's take, you know, maybe continue this rendezvous back at your place." And then he woke up and all of his jewelry was gone.
$500,000 in jewelry gone for being too good at jet skiing when he should have been playing anyways.
It's like, listen, man, like I have never lived that life, so I don't know like what kind of common sense you should have, what kind of street smarts you should have in that situation. It's just, if it's too good to be true, if you're just if you're just jet skiing, no one like flags you down. It's like, hey, you look great out there. Can we jump on? That's not a thing. I don't care how good you are at jet skiing. I don't think that that's a thing. I think that he should have been suspicious. I'm playing Monday morning quarterback on Le'Veon Bell getting robbed.
You know what? He's been pretty vocal on Twitter, so maybe we can pick this up and have a little back and forth with him. I just want to shout out the chat. I have been following along with you guys. I went to Columbia, and no one even made the remotest attempt to extort me or rob me in any game. And I made it clear that I was not sober. So if they're not going after me, I don't know what shot Americans have.
Yeah. So NFL is a weird sport. But I try to explain it to people that are new to the sport or not from here. It's like, hey, this is a gladiator spectacle. We are, we just like this. These guys are putting it all out there in a way, on and off the field, that is just at a higher level. It's dialed up to a higher level. And yet somehow Tom Brady, right, whose best friend is his dad, and he runs a 5.25 40, can be the best of all time at this sport. Literally surrounded by murderers.
Let's also shout out golf. Well, they're arresting golfers on the green on their way to the golf course. I know you're a golf guys too. Americans are just under attack these days, and like I said, could be the NCAA's fault.
Yeah, I think we blame it. Listen, so Jacory Croskey-Merritt pretty much has a straight shot to being the next Bucky Irving, right? Straight shot.
I mean, there's really the theme about all these guys we've talked about is that there's just so much meat left on the bone in these running back rooms for somebody to step up and give their offenses a little something. All of Washington's rushing statistics that are top 5, top 3 last year are almost entirely buoyed by Jayden Daniels being as good as he was. They got nothing else from anybody. They were able to spot start a few other guys, like Rodriguez came in and had they moonlighted for a couple, series here and there, but they just don't have another threat in that backfield. Austin Eckler isn't it. Brian Robinson isn't it. Jeremy McNichols certainly isn't it. And Cliff can always give you a good run game. Give him a piece to do it with.
JCM's explosive. I like it, man. I like it. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this draft that you did. So I'm looking at the fast draft results. Fourth pick, you went Amarian Hampton. So that was nice. Someone took Trevion Henderson at the 2 spot, and I get it. It's a tournament, right? You're playing for a $5,000 grand prize for first place. So you're trying to maximize your upside. So if someone wants to take Henderson at the 102, I don't even hate that. I don't hate that at all. And then you came back with Skattebo. You could easily see Skattebo being this year's Bucky Irving as well. Though I think where was Skattebo drafted? Was he a day 3 pick or was he 3rd round?
He was 4th round, but the way that everything worked out with the comp picks, if the comp picks have been any other year, he actually would have been a 3rd round pick. It just kind of boosted some of these guys to those later ones.
So again, super alignment with Bucky Irving. And then the reports are that he looks like a satellite back, that they're going to use him as a satellite back. And I love that. I love Tracy in that slasher role. And then you have Skattebo out of the backfield. Kind of love it. But again, we're one injury away to Tyrone Tracy. And again, yes, Jim, super observant and insightful, talking about the size of the linebackers, but these are still vicious collisions. I know what I'm watching on Sunday, and there are bodies being torqued in all kinds of different directions, and the injury rate for running backs is going to correct this year. I mean, it might, maybe it won't, but I need to see one more year before I just disregard size of running backs altogether. I need to tap in one more year. If it's one more year where all these guys stay healthy, getting 250 plus touches at sub 200 pounds, okay, you got me. 2 years in a row, then okay, I'm sold, but not yet.
I got you there. The Skattebo thing, and to dump on my own pick for 1 second, he's slow. He's very slow, and he's not going to have a lot of rushing lanes in this behind this Giants offensive line. And he's also not huge. You know, I think what is his playing weight right now? I think is it like 219, 220, something like that. So he's not a big bruiser from a weight standpoint like you would want, and he's slow. So I do think that is going to give way to Tracy being that 1B and not the backup. So at least for your first, 219. Oh yeah. So I just, he is a more, he is more of a profiles more of that early down back that you're going to want, that they're going to need. But I'm just not sure if he's going to give us that pop and that explosion that they need. Because if they don't have it this year, everybody in that building is getting fired. There's no doubt about it.
I can't wait. I mean, will anyone in that front office get another job again? Especially after letting Barkley go, breaking the heart of the owner, and then it stays on in sort of a very much a lame duck year for
They're all going to go work for
Is it Joe or Joel Schoen? Joe, right?
Shane? Joe Shane? Yeah, Joe Shane.
Is it Shane? Joe Shane?
Yeah, Joe Shane, and next year he'll be a VP for Pfizer or Moderna or one of these places.
That's right. I think that's right. That tracks really well. Third round, you took Woody Marks. Woody Marks. Hey, what about Woody Marks as the next Bucky Irving?
I absolutely love it. I think that this is the year that we watch something unfortunate happen to Joe Mixon. I've said the phrase running into a brick wall about 4 or 5 times on this program, usually referring to defenses. His own offensive line is the brick wall in this situation, and I feel pretty terrible for him. You just bring in some fresh legs, and I think that we're going to be able to see kind of that, like what Chase Brown started to show us before Joe Mixon left, kind of that like pass the torch season. I think it's about to happen again in Houston.
What if I told you Woody Marks had 200 career catches in college?
Well, I'm glad you can't see the bottom of my my body right now. I'm glad this is just torso up, though. We'll think the audience will be happy to hear that.
Yeah, third round Woody Marks. You got to love it. You got Woody Marks after Mason Taylor, after Jalen Knoll. Nice pick, man. Nice pick. After Terrence Ferguson. You were in there with Mike Lamoureux. Oh,
yeah, he had me on my toes.
I kind of think you're. Don't tell Mike. I think I like your team a little bit more than his. Although he did get Tahj Brooks in the fourth round. Mike got Tahj Brooks. And you got Dylan Sampson. See, Dylan Sampson. If there was a year to get Dylan Sampson, it would be right now. Be right now in this format. The Origins all-rookie game for 2025 is the format to get Dylan Sampson, because then it's just, hey, we're going into this. This is contingent upside only. We just need one injury, and this guy is a potential monster.
The what I love about all these guys, like the last 4 or 5 guys we've talked about, is that more than any other year, I can see them succeeding in the same tier as the A-listers that are going in the early parts of these rookie drafts. I don't think they have the ceiling, but they have as likely of a scenario to get on the field and do damage as any other 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, 6th round draft class we've seen in a long time. And I don't know if that's just because of how the landing spots or the talent that's pushing these guys down the board, but I am so comfortable with so many of these 4th round running backs.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Sampson's 200 pounds, and he was the SEC leader in rushing yards, and also 4th round pick. Could be the next Bucky Irving.
I think we found him today. There's no doubt about it.
If we list enough guys, we can't be wrong, right?
Mm.
A player I really like this year for fantasy, all formats, Tahj Spears. Because Tahj Spears is the clear number 2 behind a running back that's now well past the age apex on a team that needs quickness and explosiveness in order to create yards, create offense, and generate fantasy points. Kind of love Tahj Spears, the value. Look where he's going in best ball. Pick 142. This is my favorite type of player to draft as like your RB5 on a best ball roster is the guy on a bad team who is the clear handcuff, because there's not actually that many clear handcuffs. Like Blake Corum is no longer a clear handcuff. Zach Charbonnet is no longer a clear handcuff. Tahj Spears, very intriguing. Like Tahj Spears, Roschon Johnson, Jaylen Warren, bad teams, but running backs that can catch passes and that can operate as a light primary back when called upon in the event of an injury. It's just no one's in a hurry to get these guys because they're not operating in the offenses that we generally are hoarding talent from.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those ones as well where most of us, and for good reason, have kind of chalked up what the split's going to be in this backfield based upon what we saw last year. And every year there's a few of those that it ends up reversing a little bit more to a 50-50 course. And he's really the only player that they're going to be able to field, unless you're a Chigokonkwo guy, which I could be after a few beers, that can give them any level of explosion. They're not going to get it from running the ball. They're not going to get it behind that offensive line. Their receiving core is one of the 3 worst in the league, and it's the second most expensive in the league, which I don't know how that tracks. So you're talking about a coach who is already on the hot seat. They need ways to manufacture big plays to show that they need another year to build upon this offense. And if it's not Spears, then I don't know who the hell it's going to be.
Okay, I think I figured out who the next Bucky Irving is. This year's Bucky Irving, I figured it out. Ooh. And we'll get into it after this.
Spin the wheel.
Hey, why do we partner with the FFPC? Because they have the widest variety of fantasy football formats, and it's the easiest place to find all types of fantasy football contests in the world. What if you want to play for high stakes? Well, they have a $6 million prize pool with their Fantasy Players Championship. They also have way too early best ball leagues that start in February and Dynasty leagues. They have the closest thing to a liquid market for orphans that there is in all of Dynasty. And the FFPC has sponsored us for half a decade because we are actually delivering information that can help fantasy gamers, and they're generating so much interest and bringing in so many new users, casual users even. The FFPC creates a unique experience where you can both compete against the best and make money. Use promo code UNDERWORLD to get $25 off your first team. $25 off your first team at the FFPC with promo code UNDERWORLD. Go get it! What do you think about Tahj Brooks?
I think he's a generous tipper. I think he always holds the door open for ladies. I think he's a very handsome man. And I get a little nervous about him being the backup to Chase Brown, who I think looked incredible last year. But there's no one else in that room he has to worry about.
I mean, back-to-back 1,500-yard seasons, that used to matter. If you were scoring 18 touchdowns, that used to matter. If you had 3 straight seasons with 25-plus catches, that used to matter, man. That used to matter in a competitive conference. Be a proper country. That used to matter. Now a guy like this falls to round 6 just because there's so much damn talent in this class. I could absolutely see them giving Brooks more carries than Chase Brown this year. That they want to keep Chase Brown fresh. They want him active in the passing game. They want him as their satellite back, their third down back, their 2-minute drill back. And they are running Tahj Brooks between the tackles. I could absolutely see this.
Well, sometimes these guys like these Chase Brown types, they work more when there's an Austin Eckler to a Melvin Gordon. And Zach Moss, season-ending neck injury last year. Samaje Perine, he's just fun for content. Who's the RB2 here?
Who is the RB2? I mean, look at the running back room. Let's look at it. Look at the running back room. We looked at the running back room in Washington. Look at the running back room in Cincinnati.
Great
Zach
hair
Moss,
in this running
Samaj
back room.
P.
Wow.
Gary Brightwell. Come on now. Remember Chris Evans?
This room is like when you're building a character in a video game and you get to see all the different hairstyles before you play it on him. That is what they're going with in this room.
Oh my God, this is every hairstyle. That's so funny.
Shout out.
That's one of my favorite observations in show history right there.
That's what I bring to the table.
Let's to recap. Okay, so to recap, first round. Oh my God, I mean, just an incredible run of running backs you went on. Hampton, and then Skattebo, and then Marks, and then Sampson, and then in the next round you went Tesla. Tesla's interesting in that all he needs to do is just score on special teams, have some weeks, man. Just get in there and have some weeks. Now you did draft him a couple spots ahead of Jacory Croskey-Merritt. I think I would have preferred Jacory Croskey-Merritt.
Sure.
Torrey Horton was right there. So what was the logic going it with Tesla over Horton and JCM?
I think that I saw Tim Patrick more involved in that Lions offense than anybody was expecting. And I think it happened more consistently over the season as opposed to maybe like, oh, it happened 2 games in a row because of injury. He just seemed to be on the field more often than I thought. So I think if they can bring another player in to fill that role, bigger body, a guy who can catch everything, defenses are going to be scheming for everybody else on this offense except for the forgotten man. And I think in an offense like this, the forgotten man ends up eating more than a lot of us think.
Okay, so we stand corrected. There was a hairstyle that was not represented in the Bengals backfield, and that is for the player you drafted in round 6 in this particular fast draft, rookie draft.
Oh, the swirl.
Yeah.
The soft serve swirl.
Little soft serve. Listen, man, 96 percentile speed score in the 3rd round. They're going to manufacture touches. That's the thing. I can almost guarantee you that Savion Williams will have his best season as a pro as a rookie. Because they're going to like what they see in camp. They drafted him. They want to see what they can get from him. They want to maximize this draft capital they've invested. And they're going to be super intrigued. And they're going to drop tons of plays. They're going to have so much fun on the whiteboard getting the ball in Savion Williams' hands. And then as the season goes on, it's going to be harder and harder to get him the ball. And it's going to be very difficult when they ask him to do anything more than a bubble screen or to take a carry out of the backfield. It's just, he's going to be useless. But the season will expire by the time they figure this out fully. And then next year, he's going to get phased out and then eventually become a running back. His best comparable is Cordarrelle Patterson. Like it's like sometimes Player Profiler sees the future in a way that is just too obvious not to
Well,
to realize that this is going to be the reality.
For him specifically, sometimes you have these situations to where I'm not rooting against Joe Mixon. I'm not rooting against Kyron Williams. I'm not rooting against some of these other guys. I'm rooting against every single wide receiver in that Packers room to take a step back. That would make me feel pretty good, especially after the way I've been burned over a couple years. He's also the only guy that's above 6'1" in that room. Romeo Doubs is 6'2", but he plays like he's 5'2". So I just feel like, okay, what do you guys want to do? Are you going to be top 5 and running the ball again this year? Or are you going to reverse back course? Are you going to regress a little bit to the mean and get some bombs back in the offense like you were the previous season when you were a lot of fun? You were a lot of fun in 2023. Let's capture the magic again.
I'm going to ask you for a bold prediction at some point. I'm going to give you my bold prediction. You know my bold prediction for the season?
Let's hear it.
Romeo Doubs gets cut.
Yes. Celebrate.
Romeo Doubs is going to get cut, man. He is not better than Jayden Reed. He's not better than Dontavian Wicks just as a wide receiver. He offers less in terms of sort of situational upside and gadgetness than Savion Williams. He offers less on special teams than Mecole Hardman. And he's also an inferior player overall to Bo Melton.
There it is.
That's 6 players that he offers less in the football department than on his own team. And so someone has to explain to me why his roster spot is so solidified. It's not. He wasn't an early round pick. He's not athletic. He doesn't offer upside. He's not giving you anything. He's a 4th rounder who's capped out at 600 yards. And they know this. He doesn't give you explosive plays. There's nothing there. The Packers have Player Profiler. They can go check out the advanced metrics on Romeo Doubs, just like you and I can. And we can see there's nothing. There's just nothing to like. There's not a thing. There's nothing on this profile. There's nothing. When it's like, oh, we're going to focus more on analytics. Oh, the equity holders of the franchise, they want us to focus more on analytics. Well, what do you see on the route win rate on Romeo Doubs? Is 35.8% overall, 112th among qualified wide receivers. That's dead last in the NFL. He's bad. He's been bad. And yet, for whatever reason, they give him snaps. Even when he's sulking and taking himself out of games. Right? You would think that this would be like super leader team captain guy earning the snaps based on being just a great teammate, great in practice, leading by example, and they just feel this obligation, this veteran deference obligation to him. No. He also he also is acting out and hurting team morale. How is it possible he's still on the team? And I don't think he will be on the team. I think by September won't be on the team.
I love it. I got 2 things to add to that. So he's living off of the wild card game against the Cowboys, right? 6 receptions, 151 yards, wide open down the field, mainly because the Cowboys suck. So I'm not going to give him the credit there. Secondly, he starts a majority of the games for them last year. He plays so much, and what do? The next offseason, they draft a wide receiver in the 1st round for the first time in like 30 years. So he made history in Green Bay as being the guy who made them go, okay, enough screwing around. Let's start taking this position seriously. And hopefully they have.
I think they have. What they did with Matthew Golden and then Savion Williams sent a message that Romeo Doubs not good enough. So anytime you're drafting Wicks or Doubs, even Reed, I like Reed a lot. I love what I saw from Reed at the Senior Bowl. I love players like Reed with that skill set. But they're just not giving him the snaps. His snap share last year was 63.7%. That was number 73 among qualified wide receivers. He only had 364 routes run. That was outside the top 60. And he was getting most of his 60% in the slot. So they've decided that Jayden Reed is their slot receiver. But the problem is, guess who's also going to get some slot snaps? Savion Williams, right? And Matthew Golden's going to play on the outside, and that's going to bump others into the slot. And so it's going to be very difficult to build a case for Jayden Reed in best ball underdog, where you draft 3 receivers. Player 70, 6th round.
What are we doing here?
What are we doing? What? No, I like him. Again, like the player a lot. Comparable to Stephon Diggs. I like him. But Stephon Diggs was used in a more versatile way in his 2nd year in the league.
Yep. It's tricky business. The last year is really hard to tell what they want to be for this year because Jordan Love, because of injury and because of how they retooled the offense, he threw the ball almost 160 times less. So if he throws that same amount, how much does that boost Jordan Reed? But even Jordan Reed's rookie year was pretty much buoyed by touchdowns. His yardage was unimpressive. He wasn't used on the ground near as much as people think he is. So I don't like players where I'm just quite unsure what his role in the offense is going to be going from 2 years until now.
Talking to Jim Coventry last week, he brought up Marshawn Lloyd. And Marshawn Lloyd is a guy we cannot forget about. We cannot forget about this guy. Look at the athleticism. Look at him.
Mm.
I mean, the guy had no touches, lost season, runs a 4.46 at 220 pounds. This is what we want. We want this guy to be healthy. This could be good. This could be very good. But he is going to lose some touches to Savion Williams. Savion Williams is going to get some carries. What do you mean? Savion Williams have what? 20, 30 carries? They're going to want to give him 2 carries a game. They're going to want to give Savion Williams 2 carries a game on reverses, direct snaps in the backfield. Savion Williams, and that's also going to shave off some opportunity from Marshawn Lloyd. But Marshawn Lloyd, an interesting sort of Tajay Spears level handcuff where other than Marshawn Lloyd, there's really no one else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a gadget that they could use. I feel like that's what they wanted to do last year, and they just didn't get it. And maybe having to play Malik Willis more than they wanted, took the wind out of their sails a little bit. But I mean, Josh Jacobs, 300 carries, 1,300 yards, his third 300-yard carry season his second 300 season in the last 3. They need somebody to be able to come in and take the load off. And Lloyd was forgotten last year because he was injured, not because he wasn't productive. They tried a slew of other backs that didn't work out. So there's opportunity for somebody to be waiting in the wings should this go south.
Wasn't as productive in college as I would like. 820 yards, 9 touchdowns, and never had 20 catches in college either between South Carolina and USC.
Mm.
And yet he was a 3rd-round pick. It just goes to show the difference in the class where Lloyd and Corum were 3rd-round picks in 2024. And then the 2025 class comes along, and it's like guys with that profile are going 5th and 6th round.
Yep.
Because the class was so much better. But again, 3rd-round draft capital, Marshawn Lloyd, super athletic, interesting guy. He also
Emmanuel,
upper body strength, 25 bench reps of 225. Kind of love that. Kind of very interesting player. And again, Emmanuel Wilson behind him, not a lot behind him. I mean, Julius Chestnut in Tennessee, whoever's behind Tajay Spears, don't care. Trying to find these guys, like, I hate to say it because in Pittsburgh, I mean, Kenny Gainwell is the number 3. And I don't want to say he's nothing, but I mean that for Jaylen Warren, just another one of these guys where not the best team, but a team that wants to run the ball, and they will. There's a good probability that these guys are going to find their way into the starting lineup at some point in the season.
Well, they play for coaches that have a significant history of that being the case than not. And I think one season has maybe wiped everybody's memory and Men in Black style, but let's not forget what Arthur Smith is famous for.
Let's talk about Pickens and Metcalf.
Oh, baby.
So Pittsburgh knows they have to pay Pickens, so they decided we don't want to pay Pickens, we'd rather pay Metcalf. Even though what they paid Metcalf, they probably could have paid Pickens less. So are we sure that Metcalf is better than Pickens?
If you're asking me, if you're looking for a Metcalf defense, you're coming to the wrong guy.
I've always been like Metcalf at all. I kind of really dislike him just because, first of all, how do you fall to the end of the 2nd round with that athletic profile in college? How does that happen? Like, there was something even going back to the college level that I think it was the fact that his availability was in question. Like, he played a total of 21 games in college. Then he came out early. And I think coaches were like, listen, man, you got to put up more than 650 yards in a season for us to be that interested. We understand you're a freak, but what's interesting is since he came into the NFL, he's been pretty reliable. I mean, he played in 16 or more games every season until 2024. And in 2024, he played in 15 games. Every year, 100-plus targets. He's been reliable. He just hasn't hit that upside season. He had the 117 fantasy points per game season in 2020, and then it's been under 15 fantasy points per game ever since. And it's been leaking, going down, 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 down. Or now last year, 12.8 fantasy point. Now he's in Pittsburgh. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Is it Mason Rudolph? Is it Will Howard? Is it Aaron Rodgers? It's bad no matter what. The other thing that's been going down consistently, you could look at the yards, you can look at the fantasy points, but if you really want to see the consistent deterioration of a player, look at the air yards. 1,700, 1,600, 1,500, 1,400, just down, 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 down.
This is a guy who has 5 wide receiver. No, sorry. Let's see how many he has. He has 7 wide receiver 1 finishes in his last 3 seasons, and that's with Geno Smith. Geno Smith is not walking through the door in Pittsburgh. I don't care who they roll out. This is a guy who's taken a massive, massive downgrade. I mean, he started really performing well as Tyler Lockett started to decline. And as soon as JSN stepped in, the same thing started happening to him. I just think that he's someone who plays beneath his talent level. He's not a very good route runner. He runs a couple well, and that's about it. Like you said, he's trending the wrong way. He peaked at wide receiver 7 in 2020, which was the COVID year, and he's had a worse finish every season since. And now he goes somewhere where receiving production goes to die. I mean, Pickens is an excellent player. I think Pickens is as good or potentially better. The only reason that they're getting rid of him is because they like to bring these guys in, beat the hell out of their heads with a baseball bat, and then send them loose to another team. I don't think it's a talent thing. I think that they have this moral high ground that they have no reason to have because they haven't really won anything in the last, 10 years, 12 years, however long this wide receiver exodus has been happening. I mean, this is a team that has fallen short of their expectations year in, year out. Volume's going to go down for him. Seattle was 6th, 17th, and 15th in passing attempts over the last 3 years. And like I said, that's not going to get any better in Pittsburgh for Metcalf. So he is a faller for their old Chucky Bass.
Yeah. Even though Pickens is gone, then the when you are running the projections, you're like, oh, the target share goes up, and you got to project Metcalf for like 14.5 fantasy points per game, regardless who the quarterback is. It's like, no, man. Even if it's Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be a slow offense, and they're going to want to run the ball, and it's going to be just. He is a do not draft player for me. Like it was interesting when Pickens was there, and potentially could get like a discount on DK Metcalf, just on the chance that he is the alpha there. But now that there's no Pickens, the ADP is starting to climb, and it's like, no. Drafting him inside the top 50? No. Never. No, I think he's one of these guys you can safely put on a do not draft list because he can't hurt you. Avoiding him is not going to hurt you. At no point is anyone going to be going, oh my God, I should have drafted DK Metcalf. Oh, I screwed up. Oh my God, he's giving me all these spike weeks. No, that's not it, man. Like, remember last year, similar ADP, Terry McLaurin. You needed to draft that guy because things could break his way. And things break Terry McLaurin's way, and he's a top 10 receiver. And you're kicking yourself for avoiding him. You don't have that with this. There's no ripcord that can be pulled. There's no scenario that can unfold where Metcalf is a top 10 receiver. Not going to happen.
Nope. He couldn't even really achieve that with peak Russell Wilson and Geno Smith as a top 7 to 10 pocket passer, regardless of how you feel about him as a quarterback. That's what he was. They're not getting that this year. It's not happening. Not in another Smith offense.
So we're starting to see some of these ADPs correct. The late round running backs in Origins still super exploitive. super exploitive, just to hammer day 3 running backs on Fast Draft. However, the day 1 and day 2 running backs are correcting. First and foremost, RJ Harvey. Right? RJ Harvey's starting to show up in the top 5 in the first round of these rookie drafts. And then Sean Payton comes out and he says he's trying to involve RJ Harvey more in the passing game, which I think is a natural for him in his skill set.
Yeah.
I think it just makes sense. They're trying to find their Camara, and they're gonna feed him in the running game and the passing game. He was that was his best trait in college, was as a slasher back, big runs. So they're certainly going to feed him carries. Now, if they're also trying to work him into the passing game, that is interesting. That they're not just going to lean on Jaleel McLaughlin as a third down back.
Yeah.
They could potentially give RJ Harvey all the big fantasy point scoring touches. Right? And so then Estime is like the between the tackles guy, where Estime is in the Tahj Brooks role, and then RJ Harvey is in the Chase Brown role. And RJ Harvey happens to be best comparable to Chase Brown on Player Profiler. And then if this offense cranks up another level, which is very possible, right? RJ Harvey in the top 5 for fantasy points scored by rookies this year makes a lot of sense. Suddenly making a lot of sense.
He's one of the only guys that really went to an offense where you said, hell yeah, when he got drafted, especially if you look at these first round running backs. And you know what? I just want to shout out Sean Payton for officially kicking off the offseason with our very first Coach X wants player Y to start taking more reps in the passing game.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite tropes every year. And it's always hits home. So thank you, Sean. Next we'll hear he's in the best shape of his life and he's having breakfast with Bo Nix, which, that would be the trifecta for me.
He's still not going early enough in best ball, though. These big best ball contests. No. I mean, or again, in Origins, rookie only, you're starting to see the ADP get fully efficient. But in other formats, like their Flex 4 game on Fast Draft, or again, Underdog, FFPC. Yeah. He's still one of the best guys to target.
I just implore people to look at, they tried to do this last year with Javonte Williams, and it just sucked at it. Javonte Williams had 70 targets last year, which was 5th in the league, 5th in the entire league. Think about all the good pass catching running backs in the league.
Is that right?
Over half of those passes. That is true, baby.
Shut up, dude.
Over half of those, 55%, came on first or second down, which means that Bo Nix is checking the ball down, which Bo Nix loved to do in college, and he was good at it, and he was good at it last year. They tried to. I'm sure there's an expression for this, but they slammed a square peg into a round hole is the best I can come up with right now. If the chat can come up with a better analogy for me, that would be great. It's painful. It's really
painful. You must use Player Profiler. Good. It's right there in front of us. Wow.
Shout out.
I did not know that.
Yeah, just they tried this format last year and they said we just need a more talented back, and it's hard for them to find one, especially where they did. I mean, he even did this with Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram, who couldn't make a big play, who couldn't break a big play if Nick Saban's life depended on it. He averaged 5 targets a game leading up even through Alvin Kamara's rookie season. So I think that's what they're going to go with RJ Harvey, who I think is much better than Mark Ingram. I don't want to loop those two in the same box, but I mean, he's a former quarterback who's converted, which means he has great vision, sees the field well, makes guys miss in the open field, does all the things that this run game was missing. And they have a fantastic offensive line. All of their run blocking win rates last year, all their metrics are top 5, top 3. All their rushing statistics are bottom of the league because they just don't have guys that could get the job done. I love this fit.
Oh, it's just so sexy. Again, we knew it at the time. Everyone was celebrating, and yet, you're in a draft, especially like a Flex 4 draft where you can draft any running back, wide receiver, tight end, and you talk yourself into some other guy. You know, whenever you see, I see a Zay Flowers go ahead of RJ Harvey, I'm like, excuse me? What? How is this? What? I mean, it was like, the winning teams last year in that format, 4 or 5 running backs of the 6 drafted right? 4 or 5 are running backs every time. So it's just, I mean, I don't see that necessarily changing much this year. Maybe there could be a little bit more guys available later. Running backs really making a huge difference from round 5 and 6 because of injuries ahead of them or because they're rookies and they just were underappreciated. Henderson, Harvey, still great values, especially in Flex 4 and all these best ball formats. And again, I don't know how I didn't know that. Top 5 in targets for Javonte Williams last year. I mean, that is mind-blowing. If you like that, if you like these stats, if you like these insights from Chuck Bass, from Jim Coventry, like this show. Like the show wherever you're watching, Facebook Live, YouTube, like the show. If you're listening to the podcast, share it with a friend. That really helps get the show to as many people as possible that could enjoy it and help them and help us. So and show that appreciation to Chuck.
I appreciate that. And before the chat jumps down my throat here, I do think Mark Ingram was a good running back. The point of that was that RJ Harvey did not catch a lot of passes in college, and it's not necessarily what he's known for. However, Sean Payton, like he did with Mark Ingram, manufactured a lot of high-quality touches for him and put him in a good position to succeed in an area not thought likely to. So I think we could see that as well.
Mark Grebler in the chat made an interesting point. Just because they drafted Harvey doesn't mean they're not going to go back to running back next year. Because their running back room is so weak behind Harvey, it's very possible they just go right back to that position next year, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. In Dynasty, you're not going to avoid drafting a player because you're worried next year they're also going to draft a running back. But it is an interesting thing to note. Of the teams that drafted running back on day 1 or 2, I could see Denver going back to that position next year more than any other.
Sure. That's just kind of how he rolls, right? Sean Payton, he got his Alvin Kamara, but people have to remember before that he was a fantasy demon when it came to finding somebody with solid production week in, week out.
Is Travis Hunter going to be a fantasy demon? He's now practicing with the defense. They started him off with the offense. We were hoping that they would just forget that he was a cornerback in college, but there's a reason why he was such an early pick in the draft. Because he can play both ways. He will play some defense. That will affect his fantasy point scoring potential. These are facts. So what do you think about Travis Hunter?
I think Travis Hunter his ceiling is basically the T. Higgins role in this offense because he's just, even at his peak, never going to be a better wide receiver than Brian Thomas Jr. So he's never going to command the target share. He's never going to, I think, like Devonta Smith, right? Devonta Smith is an excellent wide receiver. He is important to the offense, and he has a very clear role opposed to A.J. Brown. I think Devonta Smith has been the disappointment at ADP at cost in fantasy just about every season since they brought A.J. Brown in. Doesn't diminish a whole lot, but it just takes what I think is the ceiling for a player and brings it down, even if the floor is the same. I mean, I know he's one hell of a talent. He was probably the best player in this draft, but we're talking about fantasy football, not winning football games in the NFL. And if he's moonlighting at DB, if they're going to be doing some weird things like Tampa did last year, I don't know if there's going to be target consolidation like we see from a lot of these other duos, like you see in Miami, like used to see in the Chargers with the Cowboys, all that stuff. So it's going to be a tricky fit. And this is not necessarily the coaching staff or the organization, I should say, that gets the benefit of the doubt in my mind.
I agree. It's hard to draft Travis Hunter. In the draft that we were talking about, where you drafted Amarian Hampton, the Origins draft, Hunter went ahead of Henry. Hunter went ahead of Harvey. Hunter over Harvey in Origins for this year doesn't make sense to me. I don't agree with that. Do you? Who would you have? Would you rather have Harvey or Hunter for this year?
No, this is we have a big shiny new object, and I want to see if these kids are old enough to play with it. Like, are the Jaguars tall enough to ride this Travis Hunter ride? I'm not sure. I know Sean Payton is going to do wonders with RJ Harvey, and I know he's going to do it pretty quickly. So, whatever this ends up being. And also, I haven't seen that Trevor Lawrence can facilitate the ball around the field in a way that's going to make me comfortable with another player lining up across from Brian Thomas Jr. So There's other guys that I could make compelling cases against, whether it's Judkins or Johnson or Ibuka, all those guys. But for 1 year, for this tournament in particular, it's hard to stomach him going ahead of some of these other ones.
Yeah, I don't understand. The best ball ADP overall, all formats for Hunter doesn't make sense to me. Trevor Lawrence is never going to be Joe Burrow. Trevor Lawrence was sold as the next Joe Burrow, but that didn't actually happen. Right? So what happened was that Joe Burrow came into the league, and in 2021, he put up over 20 fantasy points per game. And then he did even better than that. And then last year, even better than that. Right? Do you know how many categories Joe Burrow finished first in last year?
I think just about every one, including being able to pick up a water bottle with one hand, right?
Right. Passing yards, air yards, red zone attempts, money throws, pressured throws. I mean, the list goes on, my friend. The list goes on. Do you know who finished first in touchdowns per game at the wide receiver position?
Jamar Chase?
T. Higgins.
Per game. Okay, that makes sense.
That's right. So if Travis Hunter's ceiling is T. Higgins, that is a ceiling he cannot reach. Because there is not a scenario that's going to unfold that's going to give Travis Hunter that volume, those types of red zone opportunities, and he's not 6'4". So there's a lot of problems. They go, best case scenario, he's T. Higgins. That's fine. But that's not really his best case scenario. That's like the best case scenario in the most improbable scenario that could potentially unfold that actually is not possible to unfold because Trevor Lawrence is not Joe Burrow.
It's an alternate universe, unfortunately.
So Devontae Smith is actually a much better comp. Like if you want to say, hey, this guy could be player X, then Devontae Smith is fair. That's fair. But Devontae Smith's also not playing defense. Devontae Smith's not a rookie. Let's see what did Devontae Smith do as a rookie? That's something we should look at.
As a rookie, he dropped 104 targets for 916 yards. He had 5 touchdowns year that we had Jalen Hurts starting.
Devontae Smith had 10.9 fantasy points per game on close to 1,500 air yards. So Hunter's not going to get to 1,500 air yards. This is a very fair projection for Travis Hunter. And he doesn't even have quite the ceiling that Devontae Smith had that year.
I think that if you're a Jaguars personnel fan, whatever attachment you have to the Jaguars, you would be happy with that because you can say, okay, I know this guy can play wide receiver. And if he puts up those stats while playing defensive back, you're going to look at it and you're going to say, okay, we're going to win some games here with this guy.
But the ceiling ain't T. Higgins. Here's a guy you could actually draft at the end of one of these traditional best ball contests and get some value. Am I wrong?
Oh, boy.
Am I wrong? This is a professional wide receiver. This is a professional wide receiver that's going to be playing most of the snaps, at least in 3 receiver sets, for the Jacksonville Jaguars now that Gabriel Davis, one of the worst receivers in the league, and that I have never drafted and would never draft. Anytime the guy has gloves that go all the way up his arm and is still just watching the ball slip through his hands on those Josh Allen throws, it was heartbreaking to watch. And he's just not very good at all. And yet I was sold that these guys, these 4th round wide receivers. Yeah. Oh, dude, we get sold these guys every year. We get sold these guys. Parker Washington, though, 6th round pick. No one's trying to sell me hard on Parker Washington. It wasn't like he was productive last year, but he improved a little bit, and he's a professional wide receiver, and he had some weeks. He had a 12 target game in week 13. Crazier things, man. Crazier things than this guy having a few spike weeks and helping your best ball team.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to put like the Leon Cohen spin on this, you look at the games that Jalen McMillan and Trey Palmer kind of like how they're manufactured. I mean, all of their touchdowns were extremely manufactured. They weren't necessarily, they did anything terrific on the play. They're not beating man. They're not crushing zone, anything like that. It's defenses are focusing on the two big bads and then they're breaking free. And that's kind of what, Liam Cohen was a part of when he came up in the McVay system, right? His time in LA. They always had a Brandon Cooks, a Van Jefferson, a Josh Reynolds, a DeMarcus Robinson, a Tutu Atwell, the third man on the offense, or sometimes the fourth if Tyler Higbee was, stealing the show every now and then. They just had a guy that could break free, and that's perfect for best ball. If you have a quarterback that can see the field, that's where I struggle with Trevor Lawrence. I just don't know if he has the vision to always pop start these guys the way we want them to.
Hey man, we're getting after it today. Who is your truther? The guy you have stashed? Maybe it's not Parker Washington, clearly. But there's got to be someone that you have on a lot of taxi squads and you're not giving up on him.
Okay, so this is a tricky one for me because I don't necessarily have him on a taxi squad per se, but I do feel like I'm the only man living on his island. It's Chris Olave for me. There is no marching band for Chris Olave. It's just me in my garage with my bongos and maybe like 6 Blue Moons, and 5 of them are empty. The concussion things don't really bother me. I think they were a direct result of playing with Derek Carr, who is teaching his kids Chinese literally as we're sitting here right now. So I'm not worried about that. On top of Olave's talent, I just don't think there's many players in the league that have a bigger gap in target competition. I like Rashid Shaheed a lot. He's coming back from injury, but at best, I think he's like a 5, maybe 6 target per game guy. They bring in Kellen Moore, who we were just talking about target consolidation. He's the king of target consolidation to his top targets. He did that with the Cowboys. He did that with the Chargers. He did it in Philadelphia last year. So we know that his best guys are going to get the ball a lot. Career 14 points per game. If you take out the Derek Carr hospital ball games, that puts him low end wide receiver 1. Last year would have been tiered with your A.J. Browns, your Drake Londons. I just think that he's been in the basement for what an offensive situation can be for his whole career. And I think it'll never be cheaper. They're going to do another gap year at quarterback with Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, what have you. It's just not a lot of guys who have the talent that he has.
Whoa. First of all, I agree.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
One of the best values in all of fantasy right now, in best ball especially, is Chris Olave. I want it all. I'm actively trying to trade for him in all dynasty leagues. I mean, what am I missing? Right? He's back from injury, and his career's not over, and yet until you see him practicing and he's making plays on film of some kind, for whatever reason, he's discounted, and I want it all. The guy put up 1,800 plus air yards in his second year in the league. 1,800 plus air yards with Derek Carr. And now the quarterback, arguably an upgrade in Tyler Shuck. Unless you somehow think, Tyler Shuck, he's going first round in fast draft now. First round in the rookie game, Origins. Do you agree with that? Do you think that's a wasted pick? Because it's pretty much a straight shot. He's got to be better than Rattler, right?
My Shuck take is that it was a terrible pick for the Saints, and he's not the future of their team. But if you're talking about trying to win money this year, he is a better bet than Spencer Rattler. I still think we'll probably see Spencer Rattler at some point, just because my take on Tyler Shuck is that maybe he's young Derek Carr or he's young Davis Mills. I don't know which one, where he lands. Either way, I don't love it. But I do love it over what Olave has had, like guys who are willing to throw the ball over the middle of the field, but not in a way that's going to have you watching the rest of the game like you're the guy from the replacements in a hospital bed. Like I'm so glad we're done with that era of football. So that's going to be stock up for him, like just by default, let alone what happens in the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Why didn't they bring Jameis Winston back? That would have been cool.
Oh God, please! That's all I've ever wanted.
Great.
On a cheap, they could have gotten Jameis for 2 years, $8 million, I think is what the Giants paid, and he's their third string quarterback. The Saints, for all their cap hell that they're in, and they are in it, they could have afforded that.
Yes. He is the perfect tanking quarterback. It's like you made a tanking quarterback in a lab. This is a little too overt, the tanking they're doing now. It's a little much. It's a little on the nose what the Saints are doing right now.
Yeah, they think about how lacking in talent that roster is, and I believe they had $117 million committed to the 2027 season, which is just absolutely impossible to imagine. Now, that might change with Carr retiring, but it's still just a brutal, brutal snapshot of how poorly run they are.
Yeah, but in Origins, you got to take Shuck over Dart. I think you just based on the number of games they're likely to play. I'll say that. In all form. Well, yeah. In Dynasty rookie drafts, I think it's close. It's close. The fact that he could actually accrue some value this year, and their
I just think there's
not that far apart. Late first versus early second. It's close. It's close.
You have to. I try to look at it like, okay, what's the worst? There's no. The Giants are not in the Saints' position as far as this is the last beat for everybody there. We talked about it earlier in the show. They have to show some signs of life. So does that mean that, like, if you're going to do that, why would you play Russell Wilson for a few games? Why wouldn't you just start the guy that you traded up for all season long and show you can develop him? Or if you're Tyler Shuck and you're the Saints, is it the same thing but with no pressure? Hey, there's no pressure on us to win now, so let's start this guy, week one. Unless he's not, if either one of these rookies aren't ready to play week one, I think that's a big problem.
I'm going Dart. I think it's still clearly Dart. Why? Malik Neighbors. If Dart hits and he has Malik Neighbors and it's Dart Neighbors, I'd much prefer Dart. And he's a first rounder. I think he's going to retain value even if he doesn't play much as a rookie. So I think there's a lot. Shuck could also lose a lot of value if he face plants in year one. So there's multiple ways to look at that. Dart, the clear choice in Dynasty rookie drafts, where Shuck, I think, is the clear choice in the Fast Draft Origins game for this year.
Yeah.
All right, Chuck, I'll get you out of here, buddy. Bold prediction time.
All right. I would like to preface the following statement by saying this is not an indictment on any of the players I'm about to mention. This is an indictment on their situations. If you are living by the success of the rookie running back class from 2025, if you're counting on them this year in your best ball leagues, in your redraft leagues, in your dynasty leagues, you're about to be on welfare or you're going to be picking up a second shift pretty soon. All of these situations are an oasis in the desert for year one. They seem so safe. They seem so comfortable, so predictable, which is what we want, right? But who are we counting on to make the decisions for us? Who is in charge of our success? Ashton Genty, the Raiders, and Chip Kelly. Have you seen that offensive line? Have you seen how they run block? Omari and Hampton. Greg Roman. How many three-man rotations are we going to have to see out of Greg Roman before we stop texting him at 2 a.m.? Trevion Henderson. You show me the best running back season produced by Josh McDaniels, and I'll show you a rehab center that can get you unaddicted to that copium. Quinshon Judkins. If one more person tells me that this is Nick Chubb 2.0, I'm going to the mall, I'm buying the heaviest coat they have, and I'm walking into the ocean. Judkins is a good player, but someone tell me how a chain-moving slugger that operates between the tackles meshes with a team that doesn't have a quarterback. It's not going to happen. RJ Harvey, who I love. You're either banking on him being Alvin Kamara, which if that's going to be the case, I would love to see your stock portfolio, or B, not remembering the torture chamber that Sean Payton put us through, put fantasy football managers through all those seasons ago. The list is too long and deserves its own spinoff. Caleb Johnson. Like I said, did we forget what Arthur Smith is most famous for? And he did that with Bijan Robinson, not a guy taken in the top 8, not Caleb Johnson, who's drafted in the 3rd round. Somebody look at this Steelers depth chart and tell me how many men defenses are going to put in the box when Arthur Smith runs out 12 personnel 90% of the damn time. I honestly like the late guys more at cost. Tootin, Skattebo, Marks, Hunter, all the guys we just talked about today. Everyone, give them to me. Give them to me now.
I'm sorry I asked. Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.